well, it's Monday after the British Open, and just wanted to give my thoughts on a few things here. Um, Man, number one, Scotty Scheffler is so incredibly dominant. I know Portrush didn't play like a traditional, like super hard ground, roll everything up like Scottish English links, but very sick track for him to win clear by four and really have it, sewn up on Saturday morning was pretty special. I think we got very unlucky this year with the wind really not playing any kind of significant factor. I think felt like the afternoon wave on Thursday got hit with it the most, but apparently the morning wave average scoring was actually higher than that afternoon wave. So it would have been sick to see that course with like 30 plus mile an hour sustained winds. Would have been a very, very different situation. But either way, sick track. Hope it goes back there. Scotty absolutely dominated. It was interesting to see, like, if you took Scheffler out, like how incredible that back nine would have been with like five or six guys vying for the title. Would have been the same thing that we just had at Oakmont, where in the back nine there was 6 or 7 guys in the U.S. Open that could have won. So, but we didn't. The best player of his generation, the best player since Tiger, took that bad boy down. And man, like sky's the limit for him. And I would say too, like I grew up in the Tiger era, and the one thing that always struck me for most of Tiger's career was like how often he'd hit a really horrific drive, like just completely stuck behind a massive cut or turned over hook. That happened a lot. And with Scotty, like I can't remember. I think he double crossed one cut that I remember seeing this weekend. And the rest of the ones, sure, he faced tiny bit more open, tiny bit missed his line or whatever. I mean, Portrush's landing areas are for regular players relatively small. And the actual rough, that semi-cut, is very small before you kind of end up into the longer grass. But he's so much more consistent off the tee. I mean, he's not the longest driver anymore. But he's never the longest, but he's not in the upper echelon now. He's still above average in the PGA Tour speed. Like he hovers around that like 177 to 182 ball speed. But man, just the consistency there to be a well above average driver strokes gained. The best, I know statistically this year it's not the absolute best, but like the best approach. He has elite level chipping, and this year he's like 23rd or 5th or something in strokes gained putting. Like he has like put that together, which is insane. It's also insane how much money he's won since he switched to a mallet. If you listen to No Lane Up, they Solly went through it, where it was like $78 million or something he's going to have earned since he switched to a mallet, to that TaylorMade mallet putter, which is wild. And he claw grips what seems to be within 15 feet as well. So anyways, he crushed it there. I thought Rory, my guy, had a really great tournament, like all eyes on him, like no tournament I've ever watched before. It was like the crowd only cared about when Rory was doing something, and everybody else, it seemed pretty subdued. But put in a good showing. Obviously, he was, he definitely did not have his A game in any round this week. Even Saturday, which was a good round, wasn't his like A game. So, but that was great to see. Got her up. Like, man, if I don't know how much you paid attention to that guy hitting like 60-foot height, 185 ball speed cuts with his driver. Like, how is that possible to hit down on the ball like that and have that kind of speed? So that was sick to watch. His like stinger irons as well. I mean, he just strikes. He keeps his chest like so over the ball and just hits that power cut. So he's been on a heater. He won the Scottish the week before, stared Rory down. So it'd be really interesting to see if he can keep that up, because he does come from an extremely high level amateur pedigree. I think he was Oklahoma State, and he like balled out. So he's been on people's radar. Little bit of a slow start, kind of getting things going or whatever. but potentially he is on the very much the up and up. Mad props to Wyndham Clark, mad props to Bryson. They basically had the same tournament where they both completely shot themselves out of it in round one. I think Wyndham was 76 and Bryson was 78. And then had like the next 3 rounds were the best 3 rounds of golf, those two players combined of any player in the field. So if they had shot anywhere near par, they would have been right up there with Scotty. So awesome to see Wyndham back hitting it well. It's been a really tough season. And then great to see Bryson finally start to figure out British Open-ish. The caveat there is that Portrush has a ton of elevated greens and plays like an Irish Links plays, where not everything is run along the ground. So it's not the same. So it'll be interesting to see next year. Where is it next year? I can't remember off the top of my head where the British is next year, but it's definitely back in England or Scotland next year. So it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of parlay that and translate that over, because he played incredible in those last 3 rounds. So really cool tournament. Love the Open, love getting up early, except I definitely don't recommend Pacific Standard Time. I did a bunch of like 3 a.m. wake ups to watch some golf, and then like fell asleep for an hour, and then kind of watched a little bit more and fell asleep again. So broken sleep all 4 days. That's not the way to go. I think, just taping it and then smashing through the incredible commercial load that NBC has is a great way to watch the golf. So love British Open week. What I want to chat a little bit right now is, and I haven't seen any evidence of this, so I'd love to see if any of you guys have of any of the coaches or any of the high-level golf professionals teaching the high-level players or high-level amateurs, if they started to do this. But we have got to start to see a transition soon of at least a certain amount of players getting into a Scotty-like swing. And now that doesn't mean that you need to implement the footwork that he's doing, which is just a reactionary force on the ground. Okay, he's not like purposely doing that footwork. He's just pushing on the ground so much. But what's interesting with Scheffler's swing is how much more lateral force he has compared. He still rotates a ton. So if you watch him into impact, he is absolutely kind of shooting the hips first. But if you watch a side angle or straight on view of Scotty, you see on his irons especially, but right through the bag, a real center of mass shift towards the target. And there's not a lot of players on tour doing that. And he is the best right now in terms of consistency. So it'll be interesting to see going forward if there is a move within the professional community to start to integrate some of that lateral shift, more of a lateral shift into the golf ball, as opposed to feet stuck into the ground and it's all rotation. I will say that, for me personally, that when you let the feet go, and I have not been able to kind of master that in a swing, I can definitely jump around and move it through, but for me, it's too wild to play on the golf course. But if you can get that, it is a lot easier on your body to swing fast when you are releasing energy with the feet, as opposed to keeping them stuck in the ground and the back taking all that torque. So I would think that for Scotty, the longevity, I know he's dealt with some neck stuff, and I know apparently he dealt with back stuff in his collegiate career, but I would suggest kind of going forward for him, his potential longevity, assuming he keeps playing deep, will be correlated to the fact that he releases that energy from the ground, and there's less sheer rotation than some of the players, and more of that kind of lateral through the ball. He's also very high with his hands at the top, so there's a lot of kind of left side bend in his backswing on the way up. His hands are super high. He lets that right elbow kind of flare up, and will even occasionally get across the line with the golf club at the top. So a lot happening in there, but I'll just be really interested to see kind of going forward if we start to see, younger players and coaches start to really look deep into that and kind of see what's going on. It's a real shame that Scotty, there isn't a video out there of him on gears or even on force plates that I could find. So it'd be really interesting if one day he does one of those. He's a TaylorMade guy, but he does play a Titleist ball and Titleist wedges. So it'd be interesting to see if TPI could get him in to do a video of kind of explaining what's happening in his golf swing and how potentially that would be a blueprint for coaches going forward of integrating what Scotty's doing. So anyways, that's my takeaways from the Open this past weekend. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, what you thought of the tournament. Did you like it at Portrush? Was it too different compared to the dried out Scottish English courses where it's all on the ground more, or is it kind of a nice change of pace?